Hi, good afternoon. I see you. How are you doing this afternoon? Thank you for joining today's episode of Covered Weekly Webinar. It's good to have you here. And thank you for sharing the flyer as well. I saw that. It's good to have you here. It's good to have you here. In about, let's say, 2 minutes, we're going to be starting. I'm just gonna give it some time for people to join in. And then let me say one or two people join and then we'll start because Zoom is very time conscious and there's a lot I want to cover in the space of time that we have today. So it's going to be very fast. And I'm still going to do a recap of what we did last week. A very short recap. I hope it's short. I hope I can keep it short. Okay, if you can hear me very clearly, Taiwo, please just say something in the chat. I want to believe that you're busy at work. But just say something in the chat so I know you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Okay. Okay. Do we have one more person? Okay. Thank you, Tayo, for saying you can hear me. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to start regardless of how many people are joining. Okay. We're going to start because of time. Good afternoon once again, Taiwo. Good afternoon once again, Shegun. And also Okwe. Okwe is my friend. She's my in fact, she deserves a gift this year. Okwe, you deserve a gift this year for always joining Covered Weekly Webinar every week. Like, I don't know how you do it, but thank you so much for your consistency and your support, encouragement all the time. We're just going to dive into what we have today. But before we go into what we have today, I'm going to do a quick recap of what we did during last week's webinar, right? Before we do the quick recap, this is a new trend for Covered Weekly Webinar this year. Now, before we go into the topics, we're going to talk about one thing that, can boost our faith, can encourage us, and can also keep us going through the weekend, into the next week, into the next month, and into the entire year as a whole, right? So dream big, God can fund it. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's so straightforward, but dream big, God can fund it. Don't let the funds and the Nigerian economy and all the limitations around you make you keep your goals or your dreams small and say, oh, I don't want to disturb God. I don't want to bother God, and all of that. So dream big, God can fund it. I'm still going to say that again at the end of the webinar, but let's go into what we did last week very briefly. So last week we talked about some dues for employees, right? I'm hoping that my screen is not, interrupting the slides. We talked about being professional as an employee in your workplace, in your approach, in your dealings with your colleagues, with your boss, with your supervisor, your manager, whatever it is, we talked about, um, you know, um, yeah, being professional, not just being, I have interviewed lots of people that are working in various organizations in the past, presently, and I wonder how, if this is how they actually deal with things, like maybe tasks or people around them. Like they're very unprofessional, very local in dealings, very what's the word now? They're just there. They just, let's just do it. That kind of thing. For those of us who are Yoruba, the word kashashe, let's just, let's not look as if that's how they deal with themselves at work. Or let me not say themselves, that's how they deal with their colleagues at work. That's how their approach is to things, or even some of their tasks, professionally. So the next point I have here is be empathetic and not apathetic. I already talked about that. Yeah, I think this is for, let me check again. It seems as if this is for HRs. Yes, from what I see. So this is for HRs. I'm just going to quickly correct that because I don't want us to continue with that in mind. For some of the people that I know that take pictures, I've never done this. I've never done this webinar. I've never edited a slide, but I have to do it now because I do not want people to. The other day, I figured somebody takes screenshots of the slides, right? And I wouldn't want that to happen this time around. So do's for HRs, right? Be professional. Even for employees as well, be professional, be empathetic and not apathetic. I talked about this last week. For HRs, you should not be, I'm just doing my work. I don't care, and anybody that gets hit, you get hit, and all of that. So that kind of mindset is not professional. It's not even, I think for every HR that is not empathetic, you're not going to last where you're working. They might even have to do a protest for you to just leave. Right? So you have to be empathetic. I mean, as an HR, you are the number one person who understands that people working are not robots. They're human beings with feelings, with emotions, sometimes they're tired, sometimes they're worn out, sometimes their morale is low, they need to be motivated. Sometimes they're not even getting it at all. Sometimes they have personal issues, you have to be able to put yourself in their shoes so that you can get them to do the work. I mean, you can't do all the work. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I touched base on them last week. And then I have here, be strategic and not always obviously taking sides. Okay, this is a very big major problem with HRs. They either take sides with the management or take sides with employees. I know it's a very big, what's the word now? It's a very big challenge staying on both sides. I think that is the major work of HRs, to be on both sides. I have been there for how many years now? 7 years plus. Being on both sides is very dramatic, very challenging, but that's the job, right? But if you see HR sometimes being always on the side of the management, every time you go to them, they say management is working on it, management is working on it, management is working on it. And later at the end of the day, till you leave that company, management never works on it, never does anything about it, right? Or sometimes they're just solely on the side of the employees. Every time management says something, they're against it. They always act as if they're only speaking for the employees. And that is not even professional too. I mean, that means you would not be able to agree with the management to, put in some policies in place or some processes, some procedures, because you want the employees to be treated like kids, like children that they're pampering, rather than people who should do their job because they are being paid to do their job. So being on both sides is the job, not being on one side or either side, right? And then also I put here, embrace new knowledge, right? For HRs who just sit down there and think that HR is the same as 2020, 2021, 2022. HR has changed now. You've got to be AI driven. You've got to be tech driven. You've got to be, what's the word again? Some HRs don't even know how to use ChatGPT. It's very bad. Me now, I had to learn it last year. And I even thought I learned it until one of my friends had to show me how to even be more detailed, how to really get what you want, how to do this and do that. And ever since then, my quest for it has grown. I've watched YouTube videos. I have learned, how to not just be manual HR, Some HRs are still using papers, I don't know how. I can't deal. I can't. With folders everywhere, files everywhere. It's like we're not in that age anymore. Like, why should I be looking for something and I can't go to my system and just type it out in the search box and get it? Why do I have to start flipping files and papers? Some people still use book attendance in their workplaces. Well, anyway, it's fine. They can afford to scroll through for dates of which day somebody came, which day one, what time somebody now left, and all of those things. So it's important to embrace new knowledge, not just for HRs, but even for employees. Unlearn old or wrong information. Relearn and learn new things. You cannot be in this age and not be learning new things and think that you are, thank you so much. AY here said that HRs literally have to sit on the fence. Yes, that's the point, though. You cannot afford to be on one side. Sit on the fence. Both sides be pulling you, but that's the job you're paid for, right? So, like I was saying, you need to unlearn old habits, old information, old ways of doing things. Relearn and learn new things. Relearning means even the things you've learned before. Maybe you haven't touched base on them. You haven't started practicing them. You need to relearn them again. We learn them in a better way. You need to learn new things. I enjoy learning new things. Like I like when I've learned something, I get to say, oh, wow, so this is how to do it. Like I remember when my friend was showing me the ChatGPT stuff, then I was like, oh, wow. So I could get this kind of stuff. I mean, I knew about it, but I never really used it. And I was just stressing myself every time doing research, cracking my head, all of those things, writing things all from my head. But it was really fun just searching out something and somebody's bringing various ideas to you, even the idea that you have thought about, but even refining it, and it makes a lot of sense. It's fun to learn new things. Some people don't like learning new things. Embrace new knowledge, read books, go for seminars, go for conferences, open up your minds, ask questions, get mentorship from people who are where you want to be in the next 5 years or 10 years. I have an HR mentor, but I think I have 2 or 3 right now. I used to have one, but now I have like two. Let me say three, because the third person hasn't really like, I can't say she hasn't accepted me. I've not really showed that I really want mentorship, but I am going to show that this year. So we need to be at the edge where we're like not competing with other people, but we're competing with ourselves. That by the end of the year, you'll say, oh, I've grown. I've gotten to this point. I've learned this. I have been able to use this. I've been able to utilize this, and it has worked for me, right? So that's it. If we have questions or we want to share any kind of experience or contributions, please feel free to do so, right? Feel free to do so while I'm talking, right? Now, don'ts for HR. Yes, I also touched base on this last week. I talked about not complaining and making a difference, right? And adding value. Okay, so yeah, I mixed it up, obviously. I mixed it up, guys. Okay, but before we go go further, right? I will just say one or two things, right? I'll just say one or two things at this point while mentioning the do's for HRs. So I figured out that as an HR person, I have quite some HR friends. So right now, I don't know if you have a friend. Let me take this opportunity before I say what I want to say. A friend of mine that I know is actually recruiting for an HR role, an HR generalist, a male specifically. So if you have a friend that is a male that is looking for an HR opportunity, please reach out to them. I know a lot of female HRs, but I know a few male HRs, but they're already, doing well where they are. I don't think they want to move. So if you know anyone, right, that is looking for work, or looking for a job opportunity, and that is an HR, a male, please reach out to me after this webinar so that I can share the what do you call it with you, the opportunity with you, and you can also share with them. Please, 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 let's be kind to ourselves. Don't say somebody has offended you and then you don't want to share the opportunity with them. Please, I want to help. This is based on referral, right? It's not a very big what do you call it, recruitment process, right? It's not a very big recruitment process. So please share. I have them. In fact, I have two right now, two HR opportunities. Yes. One is not gender-based, one is gender-based. That's for the male. So please, after the webinar, please reach out to me if you know anybody that you know is a right fit for the job, and I'll share the opportunity with you. Okay, so back to what we were talking about, right? I just realized that 17 minutes has gone. So I can't share stories. Okay, so let me just go straight into what we're talking about, right? We've talked about don'ts for HRs, and now we want to talk about do's for HRs before we go into employees, right? Or let me go into employees. I think we have more employees on the call today, on the webinar today, right, than we have HR. So let's go into employees. Thank you so much, Ruth, for joining. I don't know which Ruth is this. Please, could you put in the chat box so that I can appreciate you better? I know everyone else on the call, but I don't know the Ruth. I would like to know who the Ruth is. Well, let me just continue with the HR since I've already started it anyway. I'll just be fast about it because obviously we do not have many HRs on the call. So yeah, let me be fast about it. You guys can share with your HR friends as well that you know. Okay, so prioritize skills-based hiring over pedigree. What does that mean? So HRs always hire, right? Sometimes they hire for different reasons, especially by referral, right? And it's good, it's not bad, but then you want to ensure that the person you're hiring has the skill for the job, should be able to do the job. So I was speaking to an MD of a company, I think maybe about 3 weeks ago, and he was complaining about the recruitment issues they have. How they recruit people who actually come into the company and can't do the job. So the question I asked is it that they can't do the job or they don't want to do the job? Because you should be able to get into a company, when you said you can't do the job, that's why they employed you in the first place. You said you can't do it. So why will you not do it? So that means we have people in organizations that can do stuff, but they don't. So you need to recruit people who will do the job, not just people who can do the job, right? That's for HRs anyway. Then another one I put here is redesign performance management. Performance management of those days where you're giving people paper and telling them to fill, tick the box, strongly agree, disagree, agree. We've gone past that level. There are various types of performance management, metrics, frameworks available online. Like, I don't want to say available everywhere you are. You can even find it online. You can be in the bus, be on the road and get lists. Some people they are very comfortable with old knowledge and old ways of doing things. They don't want to try new things. That's the same way some people will eat rice on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday, rice and spaghetti and noodles, rice, spaghetti and noodles and bread, rice, like there are other types of food. Everybody complains that Nigeria, there are not many varieties. Okay, but you have access to ingredients that you can make food from other countries here in Nigeria. Right? People are eating Nigerian food in UK, in Canada, all over. People complain about things, but don't want to try new things. So as HRs, please try new ways of performance management this year and make sure that the new ways are focused on outcomes, like results, rather than, oh, you're doing performance management test or evaluation and you're looking at who is more fun. There was one that they did in one company back then. Who is more fun in the workplace? Who is more social, what's the word, sir? Who is more socialized or something? What's the word? Give me that word. Like, who cares about that? Can this person do the job as the number one? Not their social skills and if they are fun in the workplace, who is the best dressed? I mean, those things are fun, but then the number one thing is the outcome. Are they delivering results? Are they meeting and even surpassing expectations? Those are the major things that every performance management framework should have. Right. And you should also have continuous feedback from your employees. Not only you giving feedback all the time, saying you're not doing your job, your performance is low. They need to give you feedback as well. For example, why is the staff performing low and performing at an unexpected level? You should ask questions. Oh, what can be put in place for you to perform better than you are right now? Some staff will say, oh, I need training. I need to get on this skill. This training will cost 150K. Once I get the training, I can do my job more effectively. If the company can afford it, then great. Some of them will not say training. Some of them will say, I remember when I was working as an HR manager, one of my staff then complained that the laptop is always hanging or slowing down or something. So you don't expect that kind of person to deliver with a higher pace. You need to change the laptop. You need to put the person in a good, some people's environment. For me, it's environment. If I'm not in a good working environment, you can't expect me to deliver very well. If I'm in an environment where everybody's making noise, laughing, talking about what's going on TikTok and Twitter and threads, I can't function, right? So for different employees, they have different things that can encourage their performance to be more effective, right? So you need to have feedback as well. Then strengthen employee well-being strategies, right? A lot of things. Some people think it's just doing thank God it's Friday, thank God it's Friday. Like, I personally have my thank God it's Friday things I do on Friday. So it's not just thank God it's Friday. You need to think outside the box, right? And employee well-being should be about also getting results. Like, what can I do to increase productivity of staff? Right? You want to impact their performance, not just the atmosphere of fun and everything. Some people think once they can put some fun things in place, like happy hours and all of that, some perks and all of that, giveaways, employees will just start doing their work. No, there's more to it, right? It has to be a win-win, right? You boost the morale, and then you also get the productivity and the performance back in place. So it's both ways, right? Then there's also what I put here, very important, build data literacy. Oh my God. Like I said earlier, some people are still doing paperwork. You don't have folders. You don't use OneDrive or even, Google Drive. Something Drive. Use something Drive. I'm sorry. Okay, if you're not even using something Drive, I'm sorry, I'm talking quite emotional at this moment in time, right? You shouldn't still be doing some paperwork, files and all that. When you can put it on your laptop and everybody that should have access to it can have access to it wherever they are. This is the reason some companies don't like hybrid workplace or remote workplace. Well, because everything is in the office. Everything, all the files are in the office. Why? Everybody's working with a laptop. Everybody should be able to have access to documents, files, whatever it is they need. Then data, any data they need or should be accessible anywhere, from anywhere. So why should the staff, right, take leave, have traveled, and you're asking the staff that should come back on Thursday, that they should come back on Wednesday because the person doesn't have access to what he needs to work with. He has to be in the office to be able to work with it. It has happened several times where I've worked. Very, very unprofessional, very, very 1960s ways of, of operations, right? Data literacy. So HR should have data literacy. You're dealing with 200 staff, 100 staff, let me be. Some private companies now, maybe 50 staff, right? 50 staff is the easiest to manage. You should not be, just don't say because it's small, then you now have files, folders, everything, leave folders. You should have them on the system. Then I'm not going to emphasize on that too much. I've said it a lot of times. I'm very tired of saying it. Then create clear hybrid and remote work framework. That I just mentioned that. Many companies are afraid of that because Nigerian business owners complain that staff take it for granted. They don't join meetings. That's because the right policies are not put in place. I have worked in 2 different organizations, to the glory of God, where I have introduced hybrid work arrangement, and it has worked. People join meetings, like a meeting for 9 a.m. The latest somebody will be joining, maybe it's 9:10, and the person will be apologizing. Not that people don't join at all, or they just join and then they go mute. Like, you're mentioning people's name and they're unmuting and they're responding. There's a policy in place. There are frameworks in place. You need to balance flexibility and accountability. You want your staff to come to work, feel relaxed, that they do not have to go through traffic in the morning, go through traffic in the evening, come back the next day by 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. So as an HR person, you need to be able to introduce this to the management of your company, or the MD, if you're dealing directly with the MD, right? And tell the person who doesn't want remote or hybrid that it's possible, it can work if we put the necessary processes, procedures, and policies in the right way. If we put it in the right place, or I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. If we can introduce the right policies and processes, right? Next is invest in leadership development. Your leadership development, invest in it. It's not enough to just be in that chair as an HR manager or an HR person, right? You need to have empathy, like I said earlier. You need to be inclusive. Don't just like a set of people in some department and don't like this department. I've seen one HR person say, you see all these IT department guys, they're so full of themselves. They're so this and that. You can't, even if you feel that way, you can't say that out as an HR person. You have to be professional. You can't prefer a department over a department. You have to include everybody, right? And you also have to be the first pioneer of change, right? If there's a need for a change in the area of maybe management or whatever areas in the organization, you must help people to easily adjust to that change, that the transition will be smooth. Don't be the type of HR that there's a change that everybody is already like so discouraged. Everybody's wondering what the future holds with this change in policy or change in operations or processes. And you are the first person to make them feel as if you guys, I've seen lots of makers now. This new era, oh my heart's gone. Sorry, I'm using Yoruba. It's going to be hot. I'm going to pick on all of you. People get queries and mails. No, you want people to feel relaxed without being afraid, right? So that's it. Change management. Then the last point I have here, I'm trying to rush as much as possible, is elevate employer branding, right? By aligning authentic culture messaging across platforms such as LinkedIn, even Instagram now. You should encourage, if you have an IT or social media department in the organization, you should encourage content that makes your company's brand look inviting. Like, people should want to work in your organization. I came across an organization last year and I was like, woo, I would like to work here, even if it's 1 day a week on site, because I love their policies. I love the working environment. I love the way the staff relate with themselves. I love the environment. It's so calm. And, I know it's what they're showing us online, but I did more research. I reached out to people on LinkedIn that actually work there, and they gave me that, feedback as well. So you want your company brand to be inviting, to be, what's the word now? You want your company brand to be top notch, to be the kind of place that people want to work, and for your clients to be the kind of place that your clients wants to be the kind of brand your clients want to work with, right? So you must create a culture that is inviting, a culture that is professional, a culture of integrity, a culture that is peaceful, that is progress driven, that kind of culture, people who want to work with you, right? So on to the next for employees now. Don'ts for employees. I said this last week. I think I dealt with don'ts for employees and don'ts for HRs last week. Yeah. So don't stop complaining and start making a difference. I said that last week. For employees who complain all the time about their company, they're not doing this. My company is just whack and all of that. And they haven't made a difference at all in that area of displeasure. They haven't added value. They don't even see it as their business. There was somebody who was complaining to me once, and I said the response, I think the person expected me to respond in such a way as, oh, wow, that's terrible. Oh, why would your company be doing that? That's not good. The first thing I told the person is, what have you done? What have you done about this thing you're complaining about? And the person said, what's my business? That's not my job description. That's what the person said. What's my business? That's not my JD, or that's not my line of, my area of, that's not my work. Okay, it's not your work, but you could also make a difference. You could do something about it. Have you suggested an idea that could help change everything? Have you suggested a way out? Most people just complain and grumble. Oh, my company doesn't do this, but other companies do it. My HR is this, but I don't even know. And so many things. But we need to start making a difference in the value. Adding value in that area of displeasure that we're complaining about. Think about it this year and try to do something about it. Stop spreading negative mentality and claims. I already said that last week, especially Gen Zs. Any little thing like this, mental health, toxic environment, just so toxic. Their HR is toxic, their MD is toxic, even their chair is toxic. They're always complaining about being toxic every single time. And then they spread that energy to other people, other staff, their colleagues. And then all of a sudden, the toxic that wasn't there will now come. They've invited the toxicity that wasn't there. They will invite it. Yeah. And all of a sudden, everybody start talking about mental health. So I know a current organization right now. I'm not going to mention the name. I was recruiting for a client recently, and nothing less than 5 staff from that company were applying to the company I was recruiting for, my clients. I was like, hey, what is happening in this company? Everybody wants to leave. And that means there's a chain of information spreading. Everybody wants to leave. Why? So don't be that person that is spreading negative. Even if you feel a certain negative way, do not spread it. Because not everybody is like you. Me, I always tell people, me like this. Let me just say it all. Before, because I said it last week, right? I used to be the kind of person that always wants to make a difference, add value and all of that. But before, I used to be impatient about that. And when I see that the company is not professional, or maybe their integrity level is a lie, I can't even measure it. I can't say it's low. It's just a lie. They don't have any integrity. I would just move. If I won't wait for the next job opportunity, I will leave. Then when I leave, I'll start applying because, well, I was kind of proud, young and proud and confident that I can get a job in 3 weeks. And that was true, honestly, to the glory of God. If I want a new job in 3 weeks, at most a month, I will get a new job. But that's not good for your career journey, that it shows that you jump from one place to another every time you're displeased, right? So that's why I'm saying this, right? As much as we're displeased, we can always find out what to do. And guess what? Disclaimer here. It's not every time your ideas are welcomed. It's not every time that they're going to be treating you like a queen and a king. It's not every time that they're going to be praising you. There are times where you're going to be talked down on. There are times where you're going to be insulted. There are times where you're going to be embarrassed. There are times where your ideas will look like they're foolish. That is not a cue to leave the organization. Did you hear that? For some of us who are, because when they ask you, why do you want to leave the organization? So most candidates are asked, why do you want to leave the organization? They don't have good reasons. So you just hear things like, oh, well, the company is just, it's just there. It's not really giving what I want. And then they are not welcome to new ideas. Please, your idea is it, how have you built it? Let me give an example. My former place of work where I work, right? My MD is a very fantastic person, right? And he doesn't just welcome ideas like that. I already said it. Because, yeah, I've worked with mostly males. Maybe only once I worked with a female, right? And I noticed, for me, I don't give up. I will go back to my PowerPoint slide and rework it from whatever feedback he gave previously. I'll rework it. I'll go back to him again. I'll give him like maybe 2 weeks. I'll rework it, go back to me. For some people, they just easily give up. Once they say, You know, that no, we can't do that here. They just give up. They start feeling, no, I need to leave this company. I need to leave. Any small thing, I need to leave. You guys need to calm down. Is that how God gives up on us? Every time you people behave in a silly way, right? And let me divert a bit from professional angle now. Every time we behave quite silly to God, is that how he just says, you know what, let me shift from this girl or this guy or this boy? He doesn't hear word. He has coconut head. And let me just let me just divert somewhere else, right? So sometimes you need to give people a chance, cut some slack for some people. Also remember that management is not one person, right? It's a team of people. Now, if you're working in a company where it's just the MD that you're reporting to, not just your manager now, apart because employees report to their manager or their supervisor and all of that. And it seems that's the person with the final say. And the person with the final say is still not giving you a good final say or a go ahead or a yes. That doesn't mean you should jump ships, right? So that's the third point here. Stop jumping ships. Learn to grow and build a career. Then the last one I have here says, don't procrastinate opportunities and waste time away. There are various opportunities. Now, I know when people hear opportunities, the first thing they think about is job opportunities. No, there are opportunities out there. I said that last week. Learning opportunities. There are some free courses we have, some kind of free trainings, like a webinar like this. Some people don't join. There are times that we have invited guests on this webinar to treat topics that I know little about or even nothing about, right? And we'll still have them this year. Opportunities like that. A conference, a seminar, a workshop. We don't go. If they're not sharing food and drinks, we won't want to go. Or if we know it's not a place where we would benefit something tangible, we don't go, right? Opportunities, for learning, for growth, they're not always tangible in terms of what you can hold and what you can see. But trust me, once you have the exposure, the knowledge, the information, nobody can take it away from you. That's one thing that I can see about myself over the years. That exposure. There are some things I know today that are self-taught, right? There are some things that people have taught me that I learned from people, and nobody can take them away from me today. I know it. And I said it last week. What you don't know, you don't know. What if you have 7 years experience, have 10 years experience? What you don't know, you don't know. So you must be open to knowledge. You must be open to growth. You must be open to opportunities around you and connect to people that can provide you that opportunity, that information, that exposure, that you need, and also be ready to serve. Because some people, they like free stuff. They don't want to give service. They don't want to pay. Some people, once they hear pay 10,000, they'll just run away. How much is 10,000? But you can go into the place, go into a restaurant, go to the cinema and spend more than that amount. So why can't you pay 10,000, 25,000, 30,000, 40,000 for something that for the rest of your life will always be a benefit to you? So we need to work on our mindset too. Not everything is always free or gonna be free, right? I don't know if I should treat this now because we have just 4 minutes left, but maybe I would treat this. Or can I quickly run? Okay, let me run through it very quickly. Proactively communicate. This is do's for employees now. Proactively communicate your career goals and development expectations with your HR. So some of us are not close to our HRs because we feel HRs are wicked, HRs are this, HRs are that. Sometimes building a relationship with your HR might even be the one to give you the next job opportunity that you're supposed to jump into. I've done that, right? In the past, when I see that somebody has been working in a place for 4 years or 5 years and the person has grown so much and I see an opportunity, I will share with them. Right? I do that. I mean, they are the ones to decide whether they want to go or not, but I share opportunities across board. So be friends with your HR and stop being enemies with your HR person, right? Understand company policies and benefits, right? Thoroughly before raising concerns. Some of us complain about many things. We've not read the employee handbook. We've not asked questions about that certain area, maybe about leave or about bonuses or about pension or about tax. Some of us, there's a new tax policy now. We still don't understand it. We're not even asking that with this tax policy, please explain to me what it's about. But before you know it now, HR, they deducted 2,000 naira or 5,000 naira or 10,000 naira from my salary. I don't understand. Then you start raising concerns and lead to an argument, whereas you could have asked questions in a more polite way to understand, first of all. So this is a cue for you this week. Ask questions and try to understand policies in your workplace, right? And the benefits that you have, your benefits, your rights. Ask questions about them, right? Also document important conversations, agreements, and performance feedback. I'm very good at this. If you tell me you didn't say something, I will take you back to where you said it or where you signed it. I would take you back there and I'll remind you, I would even what's the word now? I'll quote you word for word, if possible, maybe 95% word for word what you said, Approach HR as a strategic partner. I already said that, both at work and in your career journey, not a problem resolution channel. Not only when you have complaints or problems or issues, you now go to HR. No, be friends to your HR, ask questions. You never can tell the kind of information you would hear. Next is stay informed about workplace regulations and your rights. I already said that. Be open to reskilling and internal mobility opportunities facilitated by the HR. Yeah, be open to reskilling. What does that mean? You have a skill before, get better at it. You don't have the skill at all, get to have that skill. Learn, right? And also be the type of employee that provides feedback to your HR, right? On things that can be done better. You can provide ideas, suggestions. I like suggestions, though, when people come to me and suggest, oh, HR, why can't we do this? Can we do this? How much would it cost? Can we implement this? Those are very great kind of employees. I love those kind of employees. I do giveaways for them. Who give ideas about how the workplace culture can be better, how the environment can be better, how we can engage staff much more. All those people, Gen Zs are very good at this anyway. Okay, so this is Q&A session, although we just have like 1 minute left before the webinar session ends. I think I tried to really cover this in 30 minutes because we didn't start the webinar in time because we're waiting for people to join in. So I tried. Let me clap for myself. And I'll clap for all of you who have stayed up until this point. So if you do not have questions, if you have or suggestions or contributions, you can put them in the chat box. I know everybody's at work today. How is Friday going for everybody? Thank God it's Friday. Some of us are looking at the time. We can't wait for 4 o'clock for those that are closed by 4. For those that are closed by 5, we can't wait till 5 o'clock. We are looking at the time like this. Some ladies have packed their bags. Men don't really have bags anyway. They just take their phone and they boom if they are not taking their laptops home. So I wish us a fantastic weekend ahead of us. And I wish us a fantastic month, because from next week we're already in a new month. So happy new month in advance. If you haven't followed us on our social media platforms, please do check out our website. And also email us if you have ideas for topics we should treat or talk about in the webinar. Would appreciate that. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of the day and the weekend. Bye.